Hey guys, what's happening? Thanks for tuning in and watching, coming back, all those things. I always say I do appreciate it, so thank you very much. I've got hopefully a fun sort of photo for you today, and it's another in kind of showing my I'll call it a creative process, but many times it's an accidentally creative process. And what I mean by that is I'm often, instead of guided by a particular vision, I'm guided by the idea of indecision, which is like I can't really figure out what I want to do with a photo. There are plenty of photos where you take it and you go to edit it and you're like, I know exactly what I want it to look like, and boom, you do it and it looks awesome. But there's an equal amount where I go in and I'm like, yeah, I mean, I like it. I mean, I took it, so I like it, but whatever. So this is one of those where it's, again, about indecision. And in this case, I'm using two different products. I start in Aurora Hdr and I go over to Luminar Flex. Now, let me show you the base photos. Boom, here you go. This is a 3 exposure bracket I shot on a recent trip to San Francisco. So there's the dark, there's the medium, and there's the light. You can see the movement, and that's because I shot these handheld. I've been on the road a lot lately. I have not been bringing the tripod, shooting everything handheld. I'm having a lot of fun with it, and mostly it's because I've just been busy, and I'm trying to travel light and all that stuff. So anyway, taking a lot of photos, having a lot of fun. And anyway, so I took these photos, and so I got them into Aurora Hdr because it was a bracketed set. And while I don't always say, hey, I'm going to make an HDR out of this, I thought I would in this case because, I don't know, something about cityscapes, a little bit of sunset light. You can see a touch of clouds, and then kind of the, not grungy, but sort of the textury kind of look of like the cable car, which is old, and the street and all that just made me think, I want to make an HDR. So I made that. And that was my HDR, and I was in Aurora Hdr, which I love, and I built that, and I'll show you what I did, and I liked it. But I was like, it's uninspired, I guess is the best way of describing it. I like the photo. I kind of like the look of the HDR, but I wasn't really in love with it. I wanted to do something cool and something different, and so I did something different, and then I put it on Flickr, and it got 15,000 views. And while Flickr views are not how I measure my self-worth or how I measure the worth of the photograph, there are times when they can help you understand whether there are other people that also think you came up with something that looks kind of cool. It doesn't always mean that it's a great photo or anything like that. And if you don't get a lot of views, it also doesn't mean it's not a great photo. So I don't know what I'm saying. But by the way, if you don't follow me on Flickr, please consider that. There's a link down below in the description. I post a lot of photos on Flickr, good, bad, indifferent. I just like it. It's a great community. And in fact, I'm on Flickr a lot more than I'm on Facebook or Instagram because I'm actually not on those two platforms very much, which is probably a topic of another video. Anyway, I'm getting off topic. So that was my HDR. I made a bunch of changes in Luminar Flex and came up with that. And it's very different. It's very definitely edited. I mean, the HDR was edited, clearly, but you look at this photo and you're like, all right, that is not how it looked. So let me walk through that process, and let me jump into Aurora HDR now. So here we are. So in the basic panel, I just did some basic stuff. Let me turn that off actually for a second. Let me show you the before, and that's the center exposure of the 3 brackets. And there's the after. Very well balanced light, but if you aren't using Aurora HDR yet, you'll notice that it's a lot brighter than it was in Aurora 2018. It depends on the shot. Often that's a good thing, but many times I need to tone it down. So that's one of the things I did here. I added contrast and took down smart tone to negative 100, which to me really brought the light under control, which I liked about the use of the filter there. So then I went to color, and here I bumped up the vibrance and the color contrast. And then I was like, okay, I'm getting a vibrant photo, right? It's very blue, but we're going to change that some in a minute. HDR enhanced, so clarity and smart structure, just to kind of give it some oomph. And then I came down here to HSL, and here I took down the blue saturation. It was just getting way too blue for my taste. I love blue. It's probably my favorite color. I don't know, for use in photos, but it was way too blue. So I went in there and took it down, and I kind of think, actually at this stage of the photo, I was almost done. In fact, I considered stopping right there because I like that desaturated look. But I wasn't totally done. So I wanted a little bit warmer tone. So I went into color toning, which is also known as split toning. And in the highlights and in the shadows, in the highlights I went with a little bit warmer tones. In the shadows I went with a little bit cooler tone. And that was it. I mean, I was in Aurora. I'd done all that stuff. Here's the before and after. You can see it's very different. And I said, all right, I think I'm done. You know, I went from there to there. But I wasn't sold on it. So that's when I went to Luminar Flex. And so here I am with the same photo in Luminar Flex. And what I did is I actually just rotated through a whole bunch of my presets. And I got to be honest, I don't even remember which preset this was. I created these photos about a week or so ago before I went on the trip that I've been on this past week. I got another trip next week, so my head's kind of spinning. So what that preset, whichever it was, contains: clarity. I did a little bump there. Color balance, all right. Obviously amped up the blues. And I've got videos on how to use like color balance and things like that. So check out, hey, my hard drive's almost full. Let me turn that off. Hey, no. In the middle of my video, things always happen. Color temp, right? That was an attempt to warm it up a little bit. If I could turn it on, there we go. This is where I start thinking, okay, I kind of like the idea that I'm changing the look of the photo because I was there and I'm getting there, right? Then I went to cross-processing and used the Auckland setting. And Auckland, as you can see, added a little bit of a yellow kind of tint to it, which is not kind of my normal thing, but I kind of liked it here. Saturation, vibrance, a little bump. Tone, a tiny bit of contrast and smart tone, and a little bit of shadows. So I'm starting to get more in that yellowy kind of orange realm, which I'm liking, which is actually why I chose this preset. And then split toning. So split toning, which is, I used the color toning in Aurora, which is the same thing. Divides highlights and shadows, allows you to pick a color and an amount or saturation level. In this case, it was a light bump just in highlights, but basically all it was doing was bringing some life to that sky because it was sunset. So there it is before and there it is after, getting a little bit more sunset looking, even though in the original and in reality it wasn't that much of a sunset. But hey, this is art. I'm trying to make it fun. As you can see by the final result, I'm clearly a fan of making it look how you want it to look as opposed to how it did look. In other words, I'm not a photojournalist. So next was adjustable gradient. Here I just took down the vibrance of the top. It was getting a little too rich in color, and did the same in the bottom while also bumping up the warmth. So the before, a bit more blue, especially the street to me was too blue, and the bottom, a lot more desaturated in the street, and that, I was kind of liking that. HSL was next, took down the saturation of the green and the blue. And then here's a couple of fun things. Structure, if you look at the sky, there it is before, which is a lot more detailed. A lot of that's because of the HDR use. I've got a tone mapped base image here. But what I did with structure is I made negative structure and then painted it into the sky, just basically smoothing out all the structure detail, kind of crispness that's in those clouds. I didn't want it there, and I often do that. You've seen me do that before. And then I added a vignette. And here I was like, yeah, I like it. I mean, let me show you the before and after. So here's the HDR that I started with, and here's the current state. And I liked it, but again, I wasn't done. I had to sit on it a little bit and sort of, think, let the gears turn. And then I said, I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to do black and white, but bring back just the reds and oranges and make kind of a, I don't know, I'm squeezing my hands like a claw, like some crunchy kind of different, I don't know what you call it, whatever. So I added a black and white layer, and then I did, hang on, let me show this. And then I did a little masking, right? So let me show you the mask. So there you go. So basically, I did the black and white layer, and I painted it in just to those lower areas. So if you remember from masking lessons, right, that red is where your adjustments are going to show, and the non-painted parts are where they will not show here in Luminar. So I did that, and part of this was the luminance. I took the blue luminance all the way to 0, so I darkened the blue basically, and then the saturation, it's a black and white filter, so all the saturation was at 0 except for red. I brought it up to 143 apparently. I have no idea why I chose that number. I do have an idea, and that is I chose it based on how it looked. I could do less saturation if I wanted to bring that down a little bit, or I could do more, but let's just say I was at 143 and leave it at that. So there it was, and I kind of liked that, but I didn't like this sky. So I just went back in, added one more filter, which was saturation and vibrance, and I took down both fairly significantly, and as you can see, I just painted them into the sky to create that look. And that was it. And so that was how I went from that HDR, which was built on the 3 exposure brackets, and turned it into that, which was my final product, which I really liked. And I was frankly surprised it got as much attention on Flickr as it did. But nonetheless, that's not the point of it. It's not about trying to get attention. It's about creating something that you like and that you have fun doing. And I like this, and I had a lot of fun doing it. I hope you got something out of the video. That's really it for this one, my friends. That's using Aurora Hdr and Luminar Flex to really just craft something that you want to craft and taking advantage of the power of these amazing tools. And that's it. That's from San Francisco. I recorded a lot of video clips and took a bunch of photos, and I'm building a vlog based on my 3 days or so in San Fran. And I'll get it out within about a week. This last week, I was in Seattle and I recorded another vlog, so I need to create that one as well, and that'll be coming afterwards. So I've got 2 vlogs coming up, one from San Fran, one from Seattle, and then I've got a lot more photos and videos I'm working on that'll be coming here soon as well. So stay tuned, keep coming back. Thanks for watching. I really appreciate it. Thanks for engaging. Leave comments, like, share, subscribe, all that stuff. Let me know how you're doing today, my friends. Hope you're having a great one. Thanks for watching. Take care and adios.